Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto. Pretty boring day in the market today. Apologize, there was no extreme stream. I know a lot of people really enjoy that. Got pulled into meeting after meeting today. I have a big event at work tomorrow. I'm going to try to do my stream tomorrow. I don't have any meetings scheduled. But what we do have here is a pretty interesting scenario happening in Bitcoin, and I kind of wanted to walk you through it. We're going to do that in a minute, but first I'm going to point out a couple of altcoins. I know everyone kind of likes to have their coins talked about, so we're going to look at just a few of them. The first one that I want to mention is Stratus. Stratus at this moment in time is having its own little market, and this is a very good thing. When coins kind of buck trends, and do their own thing, especially good things like Stratus is doing, this is something to pay attention to. I talk a lot in the channel about trying to notice strength, looking for leaders, looking for volume. I try to teach you guys to pay attention when you see good things happening. And Stratus is doing something really good right now. Ever since this bottom, everything to the right side, barring, obviously there's going to be some selling bars, but the vast majority of these bars are green. And look at this very, very, very nice trend that's been going up in Stratus, and it basically doubled from the bottom. I mean, like 100% doubled from the bottom when everything else kind of had a little mini run. Bam, 100%. Says it right there on the chart. So Stratus looking really, really nice here. We're starting a consolidation. It did have a couple little levels. You could have bought really any one of these levels and been successful. And what it's doing right now is putting in a larger base. So this would be a very good one to buy off of if you're not in Stratus already. So as long as it stays above this trend line, maybe we break out in a day or so. But Stratus is looking very, very good here. I'm really encouraged by this action, really am. There's not a lot of coins that have anything as encouraging as Stratus, to be honest with you. Cheatham looks horrible. Neo doesn't look good. Omise goes breaking everyone's heart. Dash is still lower. I'm going faster than my charts here. Monero tried to do something yesterday, had a big pump and just failed. I mean, all these things are just failing move after move. IOTA's not horrible in a nice high consolidation. They're kind of doing the same thing, right? Going up on its own accord, consolidating here. So IOTA could be doing interesting things as well. It's also down pretty far though. Kind of sound like Stratus. Stratus is so far down in its pattern that, I mean, it's ridiculous. And IOTA is much of the same. Let's go to the 4-hour chart here. So we have this high all the way up here at 110. It's still underneath 50 cents. So it's well under 50% from its all-time highs. But IOTA, yeah, really good volume here. Hopefully this stays up. Stratus, hopefully this stays up here, but Stratus is really far down. I mean, this is well below 50%. We're talking 80%. I mean, it's 80%. So you're going to get a 400% move to the upside if this thing decides to go to all-time highs. I don't know how long that's going to take. Almost 500% actually. That could take a number of months for that to occur, but if you want to take a longer-term position in Stratus based off some of this action, I couldn't be too mad at you. You do still have to have a stop loss plan. You don't want to be a bag holder. This could go sideways for quite some time. But, I mean, overall, the chart pattern is looking pretty good. Most everything is just kind of failing. It's just rolling over and failing. All these large coins are failing. You have some fan favorites like Pay, which is just not doing anything. A couple are doing some nice things. Vertcoin actually had some very nice action. I think I just saw Diamond Coin. Diamond Coin came down quite significantly and is kind of now in a nice little flag pattern here. Diamond Coin, Candace in the chat room talks about Diamond Coin all the time. This is just a nice upwardly trending coin, nothing too crazy. So I kind of like this one. I don't own any, but I should probably put it in a paper wallet somewhere. Okay, Cash had a pretty decent move up off the bottom there. Nice flat bottoming action. Good volume here. Kind of putting in a bull flag. Hopefully that breaks to the upside. That could be a decent trade. Vertcoin having excellent action, really bucking the trend. It was consolidating kind of when a lot of the sell-off was happening, so some of this sell-off did occur in Vertcoin, but the volume was very benign in comparison to its run up and its eventual top. But overall, Vertcoin's looking pretty good here. You know, so some entry points on Vertcoin would be up here at the 370 level. You could buy it on a higher high, maybe even a higher high of this 338 level. Any break of this to the upside could be a potential buy. So, you know, there's lots of things that, well, not lots of things. There's a few things that are kind of making moves and doing things. So be very selective with your trades. Like, I wouldn't be investing in pay here. That wouldn't really be something I'm interested in. The volume isn't there. Yes, it's kind of a W bottom with a bit of a handle going on here. So maybe good for a little trade, but, you know, versus something like Vertcoin, which is already on an upswing, something like Stratus, which is already on an upswing, you know, you're seeing lots of leadership. All right, so yeah, touch on Ethereum, it's not doing anything. All right, so Bitcoin, let's look at this big Bitcoin chart. I have a couple lines on my chart here, very fancy lines. Look at those fancy lines. That's just spectacular lines. I have the best lines. I got the best lines. All right, so the first thing I want to point out in Bitcoin, sorry guys, that ramble went on longer than usual. So in Bitcoin, the first thing I want to point out is that Bitcoin's high, 5750. I mean, that's awesome. That's spectacular. 5750 in Bitcoin. I'm not mad at that. I like that. I own Bitcoin like everybody else does. So I think that's really good. I'm not mad at that whatsoever. But we have a rising wedge pattern here in Bitcoin. You can see it here. I'm on the 4-hour chart. Let me go to the daily chart and click auto on my chart so it looks like normal things. Okay, so we have a big rising wedge in Bitcoin. Just a very large rising wedge pattern. Rising wedges typically get broken to the downside, and the reason that a rising wedge works to the downside is that as the buyers are buying the stock or the coin or whatever commodity you're trading, as people are buying that rising wedge, okay, people start to notice these trend lines. Okay, it's purely psychological, the reason for these. It's purely psychological. They start to notice these trend lines, and then they have a sell signal and they have a buy signal. Okay, and eventually those signals are going to run out, and then whoever has the most strong opinion, whether they're going to buy it or whether they're going to sell it, those are the ones that prevail. Okay, so this is going to get talked about more and more, not just because I'm talking about it. I mean, other people. I can't be the only one seeing this. Yeah, I'm not the only one that sees this. So we have a large rising wedge pattern, and this will be broken in one direction or another. Now, interestingly enough, we have a rising wedge here earlier in Bitcoin that did not get resolved to the downside. This one got resolved to the upside. Okay, so that could possibly happen as well. This could get resolved to the upside, popping up out of here. Nothing wrong with that. Also, another thing to note is that we have a potential, another head and shoulders potential here in Bitcoin. With I've already drawn the neckline, so this is the potential shoulder. Let me zoom in here. So this is the potential next shoulder getting back up towards the 6,000 level. If you remember, we peaked up here at 59.20. Excuse me, peaked up at 59.20, came back, went higher, came lower, and had a higher low. And so here's our neckline. Now, as we continue higher, we need to see how we're going to behave towards this 59.20 to 6,000 level. Okay, if we get back up towards 6,000, we peak out here and we start to roll backwards, we're going to need to really pay attention to this level. I arbitrarily drew this line. I'm not advocating that this is going to break, and it happens to break on Halloween, which is kind of funny. Breaks on Halloween in the United States. If you're not familiar, Halloween is where in the U.S. most of us go out and knock on strangers' doors and get candy from strangers. So pretty fun stuff. Speaking of which, if you're still watching the video, let me know what you guys do for Halloween in your country, or if you even celebrate it. Just kind of curious. So that being said, you know, if we bounce higher here in Bitcoin and we start to roll over, that could be a pretty bad sign. I will probably start to liquidate some positions if that starts to happen, because if this thing rolls over, you know, it could be pretty good. So I've drawn our downside target, takes us down to about the 4,600 level here in Bitcoin. But you know, anything can happen. We did have a head and shoulders in here in Bitcoin. Actually, it was Ethereum, I think, had the head and shoulders. Nope, Ethereum had the inverse head and shoulders. Bitcoin had the head and shoulders. Let me zoom in here. Okay, come on. Okay. Yeah, so here's the head and shoulders in Bitcoin right here. Shoulder, head, shoulder. This did not break out to the downside, however, if you notice that. It did not even come close. So on this particular one, it broke to the upside, which was good. Now, look for the same thing here, right? Look to see if we shoulder out here, and maybe we just curl and go upward and we don't even get near the breakout point. That would be ideal if that were to happen. Then we're just going to continue upward in this wedge, and hopefully we can break up and out of it. But I just kind of figured, I was seeing this on the charts, just kind of wanted to let you guys know what I was looking at, what I was seeing, and that's just kind of how that ends up. Now, if we do break up to the upside, there's a possibility that we get some kind of a crazy parabolic move, kind of similar to Litecoin. Similar to Litecoin here. If you recall back, was it a month ago? Yeah, about a month ago. In all my videos, I was talking about this Litecoin channel. This channel that Litecoin was in. I'm saying, okay, and we were talking about it here at the 52 level. You can go back and check out the video. I think it's from like the 28th or something. 8/28. So you can check out that video if you want to. We did talk about Litecoin there. We said, hey, it's going to get up towards this channel level here. Usually when it gets towards the upper part of a channel, it's a good place to take profits. It's a good place to sell. Now, that actually didn't happen. And the second part of that conversation is where I said if it does spike above this channel, it could have a really good run. And typically when it breaks above a channel like this, it will live above the channel and then proceed even higher. That last part didn't happen, but it did break above the channel. We had the general market downturn at that moment in time, which excuse me, which Litecoin got caught up in. So anywho, we could get a nice spike up. If we do get that in Bitcoin, I would definitely keep an eye out for very large volume spikes. If you notice, this huge candle in Litecoin and this huge volume in Litecoin preceded this whole entire sell-off. So if we do get something like that in Bitcoin and we get a spike up like this, typically spikes in volume and price indicate tops and bottoms. That's just kind of a really good general rule. I mean, a very good, like this spike right here, even though it's not astronomical like this one, it did kind of put in a little top in Bitcoin here, right? So we don't have that astronomical spike yet. So look for an astronomical spike in Bitcoin for a potential high. That being said, if you look at this high in Bitcoin, we don't have a spike. So, you know, all rules can go out the window. These are all kind of generalities that I'm trying to teach you guys. But the spiky bottoms do work out really well. Spiky tops, I've noticed they don't always have the spiky tops. On the shorter term time frames, spiky tops work really well. Like on a 2-hour chart, you can really tell some of the bottoms and tops by a lot of the volume spikes. Looking for a good example, but I'm really not prepared for this, so I'm not going to waste your guys' time. Anyway, so that would be a good topping signal if we did spike up out of the wedge. Look for a nice big volume candle. It can even be like a huge candle on a 15-minute or 2-hour chart, something like that. That would be a good place to potentially take profit. So here you go. Here's a big volume spike indicating the top right here that we were just talking about. Then we have a huge volume spike breaking that top, but notice there was no follow through. There was no follow through here. Really, volume was benign. It pretty much blew its load right here. It had no further gas going upward. I mean, even if you sold on this bar, I'm not mad at you because it only proceeded another couple percentage points, then it rolled over. So there you go, guys. That's just kind of what I'm noticing in Bitcoin with the malaise and the altcoins right now. You know, maybe we do get another spike higher in Bitcoin and the altcoins sell off again. That would suck. I'm pretty sure you're just as sick as I am of altcoins selling off. But this is where my video on patience comes into play. I did a video on patience maybe 10 or 12 videos ago. It's called like the key to trading or the secret of how to trade or something like that. And it talks about how to be patient. This is a time to be patient and don't just try to lean into every market spike with a trade. You want to wait for follow through. You want to wait for confirmation. Otherwise, you're just going to chop your account up. So, all right, guys, there you go. Pretty long video for me. 14 minutes long, 15 minutes long. I usually don't do them this long, but I feel like I needed you to kind of walk. I needed to walk you through this whole Bitcoin thing that I'm noticing here. So a couple scenarios. You as a trader need to make up your own mind and have your own game plan and action for your account. Questions, comments, concerns below. We'll be happy to answer them for you. See you guys in the live stream. Subscribe if you like the video. Have a good night.